Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. And today, as a special treat, we have Art Against Ignorance and Blatant
Yo,
Blatheist.
look out. Here he is.
Thank you both for coming.
Thanks for
Good to
having
be
us.
here.
So, let's start out by saying hello to everyone who's in the chat. Thank you for coming. BS not accepted. And I haven't seen anyone else post anything yet, so you're the only one I know so far that's here. But and also hello to everyone who is watching this later on. Today we're going to focus a little bit more on music because we have two musicians here. And Art, I've known you for a bit. In fact, if the intro that you just watched, Art made that for me. And I very much appreciate that. It was very well done. The intro that I had before was rather boring.
Yeah, no, look, that's no problem. I had fun doing it. And in all honesty, it was pretty straightforward thing to do because you already had your classical piece of music. So it was a matter of doing a little bit of editing, just letting that fade out and then bringing that dynamic, those stabs at the end because
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to make those points
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at the end there. And yeah, I just had it pictured in my head that just that bang, bang, no, which I think you had a similar thought anyway. So it kind of worked out well. We were kind of in the same headspace.
Nom nom says love the new intro.
Awesome.
And hello to Little Pony and to Herb Evans. Now, Blatant Blatheist, this is the first time I've had you on. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you finally. I think we've
Now,
been in like 4 or 5 chats together, but never actually linked up.
So what is a Blatheist?
It is a black atheist.
Okay.
Fairly simple.
Okay.
So yeah, when
A
I was
blending of the two words. Yeah.
when I was making my transition, I remember like Googling, YouTubing black atheists, black atheists, black atheists, and you could find maybe 2 or 3. So I like to have that label in there, make it a little bit easier to locate somebody that looks like you that believes what you believe. So
Yeah, that is one thing that I have found a little bit of a head scratcher is why there are not more atheists in the Black community.
yeah, this comes up so much. I'll never understand it, but I kind of get it just because our history is so intertwined with Christianity in particular. Like the Black church was pretty much like ingrained into the civil rights movement. So I get that it's there, but it's also ingrained into slavery. So yeah.
Except I don't think it's just an American thing. Talking to Esther in the UK, she was saying, the Black community there, it's very hard for them to get away from the church. And in the African community, I understand it's even worse.
Yeah. I mean, because you have to think about colonization and indoctrination. They go hand in hand.
Okay. That makes sense.
So you can find a Black person anywhere on this planet, somewhere in their history, there's going to be some kind of indoctrination happening within their ancestry. So yeah, it just travels with us.
Okay.
But can I just interject and say I have noticed more Black artists who are atheists coming out, including yourself. And I know there's a couple of other rap guys out there as well. Comedians starting to sort of speak more about that stuff, like yourself once again. So look, from maybe I'm a bit more kind of distant from where you guys are and what happens over there, but I have been aware of more of that attitude starting to seep in to Black artists and for them to put that message out there. So yeah, nice. I think it's coming together good. But anyway, sorry to butt in there, Kelly.
Oh no, not at all. That's what this show is all about. It not butting in, but just having a conversation.
Having a chat. Yeah. No, that's good.
Butting in is in the rules now. It's canon. It's what we do.
Okay. Well, I'll just keep doing that all day then. So get ready for it. I really won't. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, go on.
Henry Mars is very true. I'm Black. More and more are waking up and learning about the origin and development of religions.
You, that was like that first block that fell out for me once I like really looked up like, okay, who are the authors? How did this start? What is the origin of this story? And so much of it is borrowed from other religions that came before. And it's like, oh, this doesn't feel quite right. Like it just started breaking down from there.
How old were you when you left religion?
I was 28.
Okay.
No, I was 28, 29, and I'm 35 now. So it's been a journey.
Okay. Was it difficult?
It was actually extremely simple. Like staying religious for most of my life was the difficult part because I had to logic my way back into it every few years. Like pretty much every Christmas is when you start feeling that guilt, especially in America. You start feeling that super guilt, like, I need to get right with Jesus. You get really into it for a few months and then you just fall back off. So staying into it was the hard part, but deconverting, I guess is what we'd say. It happened within months. And I was just like, oh, this, like one day, it's just like, it's not
Makes
scaring
sense.
me anymore. Like, once the fear left, when I figured out, okay, hell probably isn't real. So I won't be going to hell. So all right, I guess I'm done. And I just went back to playing video games. Like it was very simple.
Okay.
Because you're kind of not hiding it now. You're totally out there with it now.
Yeah.
Like especially with
Blatant.
the rap.
Yeah.
Blatant Blatheist. Yeah. And it comes across that way. But you're not hiding it now.
And that, but like that became a thing after the channel became a thing. Because I've like, you look at my channel now, it's like, oh, he's a rapper. He's an atheist rapper. It all started from comedy. I'm actually I want to be a comedian. That's the whole thing. But music just kind of happened because it's something I used to do, used to be fun, and now it's developing into something. But the comedy thing is what I always wanted to do. So having that channel come up and like, okay, I want to make this channel. I want to put my name out there. So I have to tell my family that I'm an atheist. This was like 3-4 years into being an atheist and not telling a freaking soul. So I finally let my family know. Like I called my mom. Like I was in Korea at the time. So I called my mom and like, hey, I need to tell you something. You may want to sit down. I don't know how you're going to take this. And like, she's freaking out. And I tell her, I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. And she like literally just breathed a sigh of relief. Like, well, I thought you were going to say something bad. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We're good here. So then after the channel, it was just like, all right, no more secrets. Let's go.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as hard as you thought it would be.
Yeah, not at all.
I guess maybe it's a culture over there, and maybe your own parents are not even as deeply ingrained in it as what you think, or they.
My mom is super, super ingrained into like my mom's a Christian, but she's just accepting. Like as long as I'm okay, she's okay. Of course, she still prays for me and hopes I'll go back to church and everything, but I can't control that. It's still my mom.
Yeah.
Purple said exactly what I was thinking. At least you didn't get, couldn't you just be gay? Actually, I was thinking just the opposite. I was thinking she was going to say, oh, I was afraid you were going to say you were gay.
That's what I was taking with that too.
Her response was, I thought you were getting a divorce. I thought something happened to the baby. Like, no, just atheist. We're good.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, I mean, at least it shows some kind of reason and, able to realize, hey, just my son saying he's an atheist is not that bad to compare to all the other issues that could pop up with health and whatever else, where there's some real problems within the family. So to hear atheist, just like, oh, okay, then, I'd prefer you weren't, but hey, I can deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think she's still holding out hope. She's like, it's a phase. You'll get over it, kid.
And it's a weird thing some people do, which I can't figure out. Some people transition from being atheists to becoming Christians or Islamic or whatever.
Yeah.
And
whenever I see that, my first question is, why were you an atheist?
Yeah.
And usually when they go back, they didn't have any rational reason for not believing. It was just, I'm mad about this. This
Yeah,
doesn't make sense. Or like there's no actual thinking into it. It's just kind
right.
of going
They
with the
hadn't
flow type of
really
thing.
thought it through or researched it or anything
Yeah.
like that to
Yeah.
really understand their position.
Yeah. Lucky me,
Yeah.
it all kind of snowballed. Actually, like when I was in the military, I got really, really religious because that's how they kind of, it's part of the indoctrination for being in the military. They brainwash you those first few weeks in basic training. They put
Yeah.
church in there when you're like at your lowest moment, and then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, God's everything. So after that, I started reading the Bible more, and the more I read, the more it was like, don't. Okay, I'm just
Yeah.
going to go back to making up stuff myself because it was easier that way. Once you have
Yeah.
it in front of you, it's like, oh, this really? That's all right, cool. But yeah, so getting more into it is what got me out of it.
Yeah.
Because the more
Right.
you learn about it, the less it makes sense actually when you think about it.
And
Yes.
it's apparent that you did a lot of research. Like you certainly get that impression that there's been a lot of
Yeah.
research, and in the lyrics of your songs and that really comes across that you
Yeah.
spent time studying it and questioning the shit out of it,
Hell yeah. Hell
which
yeah.
is good.
Henry Marr says, we were told it was divine inspiration and the inerrancy of the Bible, but asking questions, getting different answers, researching and learning how it was constructed, evolved, changed, justified.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
BS Not Accepted said, some people go back because of community.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true. Very
And
true.
some people go back for family because family won't accept them anymore. And, it's easier to pretend that God is real than to give up your family.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of atheists say that they fear more their parents' depression and sadness and worry about the fact that they think that child is going to go to hell. And that is one of the really difficult things for them, is that it can send the parents down just through pure fear of worrying, my child's going to hell, I'm going to go to heaven, and my child's going to be in hell, and we're not going to be with each other, and all these kind of weird ideas. So
Which begs the question, how is it heaven, this perfect utopia, everything's perfect, and your child's burning in hell when you know it? How's
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been writing a song about that kind of thing, and I think I threw you an idea about it a little while ago. And the idea is, the concept behind it is that it's a Christian a wife, say, and an atheist husband, but they deeply love each other and just accept each other's position. Okay. The idea is that it's an alternate reality where heaven is real, religion's real, God's real. And the idea is that the Christian lady goes to heaven, but her beloved partner for her whole life has gone to hell. So now she's got to reconcile that, and can't accept the fact that she's got to live eternal life in heaven without the one that she loves and would want to be there with. So there's all these kinds of questions that just pop up, which are things that I really want to explore through the music. But that's kind of along those lines we were just saying, is that loved ones can be separated. I don't want to go to heaven and my son who I love is in hell.
How is that?
I'm not going to be happy,
That's reverse that, and that's my situation, and that is a conversation that I would love to have with my husband because he is a believer,
right?
But he doesn't want to talk about religion, and I get that. I totally get that because I can be very persuasive. And I think he's afraid that I will persuade him that his religious beliefs are wrong. So he just doesn't want to talk about it.
That was part of my staying in as well. I think every Christian does that to an extent. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Block that. Keep that over there. That makes a little too much sense.
Yeah.
You do
Could
one
we
of these.
call that cognitive dissonance. It's kind of along the lines of cognitive dissonance,
Mhm.
where there's contradicting ideas there, and they're both there, and you think, yeah, that's right, but no, this is my background and my belief. I've got to try and meld these two in and make them work, or just go to the point of ignoring that and going with that.
Yeah. I think,
I
like,
think,
even as an atheist, something that I have to constantly remind myself is about that cognitive dissonance. 'Cause I always
yeah,
say the worst thing about having intelligence is being intelligent enough to fool your damn self. So that's
yeah,
what I
Mhm.
did most of the
mm,
time when I was a Christian. I was able to rationalize it. Like when I think about the Big Bang Theory, okay, that theory makes a lot of sense. It makes too much
yeah.
sense. But then I can rationalize and say, oh, a Catholic
God
priest
did it.
discovered it. God wanted us to find this. Like you can
That's
rationalize
right.
into anything.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So I have to keep
And God
reminding
created
myself,
the Big Bang and whatever
exactly. He
else.
left the
So
evidence
God
for
did it
us. Like you
anyway.
can, right.
Mm,
So I have to keep reminding myself, even as like as an atheist, question everything. Why do I
mm.
believe this? Why do I believe this? Do I have a good reason for believing? Have to keep questioning.
Yeah.
For me, there were certain things that I just simply never thought about.
Mm,
Because, like you, I believed that the Big Bang was started by God. I believed that evolution was something that was guided by God.
yep.
But I also believed that Adam and Eve were literal people. And it never occurred to me to think about the fact that how could Adam and Eve be literal people if God guided the evolution of man? I just never put it together.
Mm,
That's funny because I remember watching on the Discovery Channel, they have Genetic Adam. And they did this
Mm,
whole special about genetic Adam in
mhm,
Central Africa. All these generations lead back to one strand of DNA. So they called it Genetic Adam. And
mhm,
in my
mhm,
head, I remember distinctly thinking, that explains it. God just explained it to us in a way that we could
mm.
understand for those primitive people. And now we have the science to understand what God really meant. Like you can really just talk yourself into this stuff
Yeah.
for your
Mental
entire life.
gymnastics.
It's crazy. Yeah. Backflip, backflip, backflip. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the problem with that explanation, though, is that Noah is supposed to be our latest common ancestor, and he wasn't from Africa.
Mm, yeah.
See, but you're making sense. That's your first problem. Mm-mm. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So, Blatant Blatheist, do you also do like stand-up comedy? Do you play clubs?
I have done 2 open mics.
Okay. Okay.
So like during like the channel started during the pandemic. So I went on stage one day and then like the next week, pandemic, everything's closed down. I actually went on stage in Korea. There were 2 people in there that spoke English. I made them laugh. So I was like, I got the bug. So like after that, that's where the channel really like was spurred from because it's like, okay, I can't go back to the club. What are we gonna do? I guess YouTube. I like making skits. This sounds
Mm.
fun. I can still do comedy. I could do it the way I want to do it. So the comedy just was birthed into this skit type of thing. And
Mhm, mm,
then linking up with other atheists, I finally meet somebody named Black Atheist Rants. Like I met him in another chat. We were doing this Juneteenth celebration thing. And he like weeks later, he was just freestyling on his channel. And he was like, I'm thinking about doing a mixtape. And I'm like, I'll send you a verse. I can rap. And
Mm.
that turned into an actual mixtape and then a second mixtape. And then I just put out an album. Like it just snowballed. So the music thing just came out of nowhere.
And they're getting better and better, mate. Like the quality's getting really, really good. I've noticed in the backing tracks, and yeah, it's just getting better and better. And I checked out your Spotify. I think you got like 21 tracks on there
Yeah. Yeah.
or
It's
something at the moment.
20
So
for the, yeah, it's 20 because 2 of the songs are on the album. I just put them out as singles before
yeah,
just to
right.
have something
Yeah,
up there.
yeah.
Did you see this comment? Purple says, I did a closed mic, but nobody could hear me.
Yeah, fair enough.
I love
Yeah,
purple.
Hmm.
yeah. Turn the mic on. That could
Yeah, it helps.
possibly. Yeah. Um.
This
Yeah,
is
did
true
you
of
have
me as
more?
well.
Yeah.
Did you
Oh,
have
I'm
more
sorry. I was reading
questions,
the
What were you
Kelly?
comments.
saying,
For
Art?
oh, nothing. I was just asking if you had more questions.
No, I didn't have anything specific. I was
Yeah,
just wanting to get to know both of you a little better. Now, Art, I know you live in the land down under, the one
yep.
that doesn't even exist according to the flat earthers.
It
It
definitely
does not.
doesn't exist.
Yeah, it does not. I've done the
What?
research. It does not.
Yeah, that's absolutely true,
Mm.
and I accept that. That's one of these things I've just had to come to accept in
My
my
fa-
life or non-life, non-existence.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, look, I actually come from Scotland, so you might detect a bit of an accent
Mhm,
because
mhm,
it's not a full-on Australian accent. But I'm a 56-year-old guy. I've been here since I was 7, so I'm almost been here 50 years.
mm,
Um, and my life, I would say, would be quite different to you guys in the way that with religion and that type of thing was never a big deal with my family at
mhm,
all.
Lucky.
We did all the usual christenings and funerals in churches and things like that, just because that's what everybody did. But my parents were neither engaged or interested, and I think, you know, even as I was a kid, I was aware of their kind of, in a way, distaste or
Hmm.
just disagreement with what, because they knew some religious people and they would see hypocrisy in them in the
mm,
way that they went on, you know.
mhm,
Now supposedly these people have some divine connection with the spiritual world, with God, you know. To me, if you really believe that and you know it's true, you don't mess up in your life. Like, you're totally committed. You think
Yeah.
God is real, man. I know where I'm going. When I die, I'm going up there. You know, I'm not going to see all my loved ones. I'm completely committed. So why do all these people who claim to be religious and have this connection um, do things like commit adultery and worry so much about money and maybe often don't give to poor people, and they have the same selfish urges and needs as what we do.
Hmm.
So from a young age, like, I picked up from that. And I think even when I was in my teens, I just had questions about, you know, religion, established religion, particularly Christianity, because it just didn't make sense. There was religious wars caused through religion. I mean, there are so many obvious questions that you have, even as a young person, where your mind hasn't developed all that much yet, and you're just looking at it, you know. Because I wasn't indoctrinated with it, so I was able to
Hmm.
be pretty objective with it and just think,
See, that's the part you miss because as a kid, when you're in that family, of course, yeah, you have questions, but then they instill fear,
yeah,
fear, and as a kid, you can't even distinguish between okay, this doesn't make sense. Why would I be
mm,
scared of this? Because you're learning God's real, hell's real. You're going to burn if you don't do this from the
mm,
same person that's instructing you. Hey, the stove is hot. Don't touch that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't distinguish what's the fact from the fiction. So
I
it's
get it.
all yeah.
I get it. Yeah, it's all lumped in. You're sucking it all in and you're taking it all literally. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the good advice about touching the stove, don't do it because it's hot, is kind of like, yeah, well, that's real. If that's real, then maybe what they're telling me about all this other
Yeah,
stuff, which I can't see for myself, is also real, you know?
yeah. That's all you know is, hey, this lady is smart. What she says, it
Yeah.
goes. So, all
Of
right.
course, I get it. And this is the whole thing about child indoctrination, is that they are little sponges and it's
Hmm.
all going in there, you know?
Yep.
And I think that's one of the really, really sad things, because they don't get the opportunity to think this through and often can't escape it, unlike yourself and both of you guys. Now, to me, what you do is just brave. And I can't imagine being like that, because I was always given free thought. I made up my own
Hmm.
mind about all of that
mhm,
stuff because my parents never questioned. It was just like, yeah, I'm not really a believer myself. You go for it. So I
Yeah.
had freedom from a young age, where you guys didn't. It was just kind of like pressure all around
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
to
My
conform to that.
yeah, my announcement was a Facebook post. It was
Yeah.
literally a meme that explained atheists don't believe this, don't believe this. We do believe this, and that's the only distinction. I'm still me. And in the caption, it said, "Okay, now you know, do what you will." Like,
Yeah.
I was like extremely ready to accept anybody that wanted to disappear after that, because this is me now when I'm not hiding it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
that's just it.
And
Fortunately, most of my family was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's just Jerome being Jerome. Okay, cool."
yeah.
So yeah,
Yep.
got lucky.
And you must feel the freedom, the liberation when that happens. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Mhm.
And I noticed that comment there about it's not difficult in the UK either
Mhm.
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
much. It's pretty in the UK too. Because I'd say in Australia, there's no real pressure. There are a handful of people, but I can go to a barbecue or a gathering somewhere and just God comes up. I can just say, well, I don't believe in it. I think it's all crap.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I mean, but like
nobody's going to care. They're
people
just going to say,
outside,
yeah,
yeah. If you're outside of the States, you can literally just look at the news that's happening in the States and understand where we are. Because like
yeah,
you've got people making legislation. I can never say the word. You've got
yeah,
people legislating. Screw it. You got
yeah,
people making laws.
whatever. We know what you
You got
mean.
people like
Legislating.
literally
Yeah.
making laws, like making
Mm.
rules, all based off this ridiculous religion
Oh
that
man.
is supposed to not be a part of the government. Like, it's
Yeah.
Mhm.
literally, these are the people that call themselves constitutionalists. They always bring up the
Yeah.
Constitution, but they
Yeah.
skip that part.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And
that's
it's
America.
all about the separation of church and state. And
That would be
there's
nice.
so many fighting against it. Because I follow what happens more in America because it just blows my mind. I mean, we have issues in Australia, but along those lines as well, but not to the same extreme. And with some of the people that you have, like Marjorie Taylor Greene
Great guy.
and
Oh.
Lauren Boebert and all these people, I
Mhm.
just look, you're a lunatic. You're an obvious lunatic,
Mhm.
and advocating for the gun rights and all this. Meanwhile, little kids are getting shot up all over the country in schools.
Those are the people that scare me. Not so much
It's
Lauren Boebert.
frightening.
She's very performative.
Mm,
Like people like Matt Gaetz, stuff like that. Those are very
mm.
performative people. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a true believer. She
Yeah,
needs to be watched. Like
yeah,
there's something loose up there. Like, but
for
she's running
sure.
our government. Like even
Yeah,
somebody that's like, what's the guy's name? Is it George Santos?
yeah,
The
yeah,
guy that
He's the
lied his
governor of
way into
California.
office.
yeah,
Santos is governor of Florida. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I
no,
have heard a little
that's
bit about
Is that
him.
who you
Yeah,
meant? Oh wait, no, I'm
no,
sorry. I'm sorry. You're talking about
yeah,
the
that's
lines.
DeSantis.
DeSantis. I
Yeah,
get
Ron
those.
DeSantis.
They
Because
sound similar,
they
but
look alike.
yeah,
they don't look alike. But then I
They're just
I
round
have a
liars. Like,
I have a tendency to think in terms of letters. And
mm,
so, the letter S is what I associate with both of them. And so
yeah,
I will
shit.
confuse them because they both are S. Yeah.
exactly. That's the word.
You're
As
B.
for shit.
Art
But
is
Yeah,
yeah,
easy.
like
He's
look
A.
at that guy. Yeah, he's hurt. But I mean,
yeah,
look at George Santos. Like he literally lied about he lied
Everything.
about his mother dying in
yep,
9/11.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
yeah.
he's still on committees, not even just in Congress. He's on committees
Mm.
Mhm.
that
And
how do you combat a group like that?
wasn't he caught up? There was photographs of him dressed
Oh
like
yeah, in
being
drag.
trans and
Yeah.
stuff like that in
Yeah.
drag.
He dressed in drag before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
MTV did
obviously
divorce her husband
I
because
don't
she
care.
cheated.
I was not aware of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yep.
Um,
And
because
he speaks up against trans people. Is that right?
He's a Republican. That's all they do.
They all do that. Yeah, yeah,
That's all they do.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So the
literally. I don't
hypocrisy
want
is
to keep like
astounding.
talking about parties, but let's just say extreme right wingers. Like we could
Yeah,
say that.
Mhm.
But that's
Mhm.
all they have. They don't have any kind of ideas. They don't want to change
mm,
anything. They don't want
no,
to make anything like even for their side. They don't want to change anything to make stuff
no.
better for their side. They just
Yeah,
want to be in power. So they
yeah.
just keep
Mhm.
everybody afraid. These people are coming for your kids.
That's
These
right.
people are going to be breaking in your house. These people are overseas. They're plotting on
Yeah.
us. They're coming for Trump. They're going to be coming for all of you. Like that's all they
Yeah,
have.
it's
They
the
have
culture
nothing
war
else.
thing. It's the culture
Literally.
war and just scaring people about things. Whereas if you listen to the arguments on the left, and I like shows like Secular Talk with Kyle Kalinske, The Rational National, all these kinds of shows, they're all lefty. I'm a lefty. And I listen to those guys and they make the same arguments all the time, the same points about your $15 minimum wage, housing for the homeless. There's a long list, and I'm not
socialized medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
Socialized college, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and cut out all the college debt and all that. The things that actually help people, and there's a long list, and obviously climate change and things like that.
Even when you look at that, the way that they use identity politics, they use buzzwords on the other side. Like the way, how do you argue against giving people rights that they've earned?
Yeah.
You use a buzzword. You say socialism. You say that's
socialism. Right. Yeah.
You just demonize one word,
and that immediately
it goes away.
Scares the American public because they all think, oh, communism, and
it's
Russia
incredible.
From way back in the day, and
that's why I think we live in like the dumbest timeline right now. Because like you can say people way back when, like, oh, they were so ignorant, but they didn't have access to all the information that we have. How are we still this stupid? Like, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Well, actually, I think part of the problem is we have too much information. And it can be difficult to separate the truth from the falsehood because there's just so much of it.
But you want to know why that is, though? It's the American education system. We don't get taught how to think so we can discern what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, how to research. We get taught what to think. This is the test questions. These are the answers. Memorize. So we don't have that distinctive power. Like we don't know how to distinguish between facts and feelings, really. That's America.
Well, Blatant Blatheist, one thing I will say for you and for all comedians is I was a right-winger at one time, and my position slowly shifted to the point where I was an extreme, well, I shouldn't say extreme, but I became very liberal, even as a believer. I was a very liberal believer, and it was because of comedians. And Jordan Klepper, more than anyone else, has shaped the way that I think.
Yeah, love Jordan Klepper. Like I have comedians to thank also for just my atheism, because I remember I tell this story all the time. So I was working this security job like overnight, every night. So I would get bored a lot. So I would just watch YouTube videos, and I stumbled upon like all these old Ricky Gervais just compilations of him just destroying religion. And I'm laughing every night. I'm watching this over and over, just laughing like, And like this is like a year before I even started thinking about deconverting. It's just like, oh, this makes so much sense. I feel so bad. I'm going like I would be fighting the laughter because like I don't want to go to hell for laughing at this. I'm being watched right now. Like
guilty laughter and scared laughter. I'll be struck down by lightning any second.
Yeah. So the comedians led me to atheist debates because the guilt made me say I need to watch some Christians just destroy some atheists. So I started watching all these debates. The first debate that I pulled up was Matt Dillahunty versus Cy Tenbergen.
Yeah.
Oh God. When I say the deflation in my faith was like, it was instant, like, oh my God, this represents my side. Oh.
Because I can't think of a single argument or debate that has happened between an atheist and a Christian where an atheist has even come close to losing, or a Christian has come close to making any good points that didn't get obliterated, totally just blown out of the water. So yeah, no, I totally get that.
George Carlin, when I was a believer, I would never.
That's who I was trying to think
of. He was too sacrilegious. George Carlin. He was just too much. I wouldn't even listen to him until after I became an unbeliever.
And the crazy thing, like that's one of those guys. I've loved George Carlin since the 90s. Like that's always been one of my favorite comedians. But again, you can rationalize anything. Like, like I remember thinking when he died, like, oh, that's sad he went to hell, but he was funny. Like,
yeah. And now you know he didn't go to hell, but
He just
Yeah,
getting
no,
addressed.
hilarious, and way before his time too. I still watch videos that pop up on so many different topics, not just religion, where yeah, he just makes so many good points
Dude was
and is
brilliant,
very
and he
blunt,
was
very
very
blatant, much like yourself, like just
yeah,
bang, 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 bang.
yeah, and
So yeah,
very like left leaning. He taught me a lot.
very left leaning.
Love
Yeah,
George.
yeah,
He was very common sense. Like it's hard to not be left leaning when you just have common sense. Like, okay, why can't we
yeah,
do that? Doesn't make sense to keep doing it this way. This is stupid. Like Patton
yeah.
Oswalt, Sarah Silverman. Yep. Just read off my
And
whole list right there.
that's a really interesting point too. Is why is it that people who are atheists, who are obviously people who've explored and tried to understand the whole thing,
Hmm.
all predominantly at least 98%, whatever, that's just roughly pulled out the top of my head there, but let's a very large percentage end up being left wing.
I say a big reason for that is because we don't have anybody that's coming to save us. We
Yeah,
don't have any gold at the end of the rainbow. We just have to keep on freaking going. And we know that
yeah,
we have this much
yeah.
time. Everything's finite. We have this much time to do this. Let's try to do something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And also just this culture that we have of exploring and questioning, because it's the whole point of being an atheist. Atheist, skeptic, it all comes under the same kind of banner, roughly.
Yep.
So you're questioning things and it leads towards other things, and it takes you into politics and different things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just find that the vast majority end up on that left wing position because I just see how much shit is going on out there. I mean, look, the extreme disparity that you see when you look out there, like on the one side of Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk. Jeff Bezos is flying up in a spaceship with his brother for a little trip off into, just out of the Earth's atmosphere and into space for a bit of a wander around
Just an
for
excuse
10
to wear a
minutes, spending
cowboy hat. Like,
yeah, yeah, true. And I mean, just for a little 10-minute trip or however long it was. Meanwhile, just people starving and people in poverty, and the difference is just it's outrageous. It's unfathomable, and it just worries me. Is there just a lack of compassion completely? Like, can you not see what you're doing when you do that? You have $100 billion that you could spend at least some of to help poverty or other world problems that are happening, starvation.
I mean, but these
they
are
don't.
people that have never heard no.
Yeah.
Like any
They're
idea they
in their
have
bubble.
is just excellent because they're in that bubble. They've never heard no, so everything they do is just belly, just perfect. Like you can't get to them. Oh yeah, don't get me started on Elon. Jesus. I'm so glad. I'm actually glad he bought Twitter just so he could expose the, I don't want to say moron, but moron that he's always been, because he had so much great press before. I'm so glad he exposed himself with that idiotic move.
Well, I did find through watching shows like Secular Talk with Kyle Kalinske and that, who are more investigative and try and find out the truths about these people. Yeah. So I kind of knew before he bought Twitter that he was a bit of a moron.
Before, it was a few years ago. Like I was on the train with everybody else. Like, oh yeah, the Tesla dude. Yeah, he seems to be pretty cool. And I was watching Hannah and Jake. And Hannah just could not stand Elon Musk. And I was like, but why? What is the issue? He made Tesla.
Yeah, what's the problem?
So I just started researching. It's like, oh, this dude's a piece of shit.
That's right. And he didn't really make Tesla. I think he just
he
took it over.
Got a patent.
Yeah, and took it over. People get the impression, he invents all this stuff and he's super intelligent. Look, I'm sure he's got a pretty good understanding of computers and technology up to a point. You can't be a total doofus as far as it goes. He must have enough of an understanding. But to say a genius, I don't know, it's maybe questionable.
Not even an idiot savant.
For sure. Yeah. I doubt it very much. An idiot, yes.
Coming back to this point for a moment, this is one of the things that I've said repeatedly about Holloway Kane and
Mm.
all of the other prosperity gospel people, that if they actually believed what they said, they
Mm.
should be able to give away everything they own and let God just give them more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They
You would
they
think.
should be able to wipe out poverty by themselves, because they should just give
Mm.
everything away and just let God give them more.
That's a
Yeah,
very good
you would
point.
think.
Yeah. But they don't. They buy jet planes like, is it Copeland, that guy?
Copeland, yep.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Crazy
To
eyes.
buy a couple of jets, like take money from the church, let people keep donating to you so that you can
Mhm.
go and do that. So some poor religious person's down there that's only bringing in a couple of $100 a week, and they're giving you $50 to, donating that to your church or whatever, or to buy whatever crap you're selling so that you can go and buy another jumbo jet,
Yep.
I have
I
a
mean,
problem with that with the Catholic Church as well.
mm,
The
Don't get me
Maryland
started.
Archdiocese just declared bankruptcy, and so did, it was either San Francisco or San Diego, I forget which, just declared bankruptcy. And both of those dioceses declared bankruptcy um, because of all of the claims against them for the sexual misconduct of the
Mhm.
priests that has been covered up for decades. And yet, I went to Italy last year and we visited the Vatican, and I was just floored by one of the rooms that they showed us, which is filled with statues and other Roman and ancient Greek artifacts
mm,
that have nothing to do with the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
But the Catholic Church has claimed to them because uh, the Pope was the ruler of all of Italy for a couple of centuries. And so the Pope claimed every archaeological find for
mm,
himself. And
yeah,
so when
So insane.
Italy became a secular state and the Vatican and the Pope became just a very small, what happened was when Mussolini came into power, he gave the Vatican to the Pope, and in exchange, the Pope turned over rule of Italy to Mussolini. But the Pope moved all of those artifacts into the Vatican. And there's this room it is priceless.
mm.
If they were to sell these artifacts or to give these artifacts to museums, they are
Museums.
absolutely priceless.
Mm,
And they have nothing to do with the church. And yet
yeah,
but the church wants everything for itself.
Yeah. Because they're
yeah.
the ultimate prosperity preachers.
Mm.
Mhm.
Look at what we have. You could aspire to this.
Yeah, I know, and that's the reality of these people, popes and whoever, who once again put out this idea of we have this spiritual connection. Then why do you need all these possessions? Why does it mean anything? You're going to your spiritual world with God for eternity, to live in peace and wonder and, whatever concept you might have of heaven,
Or
which is
another
You have to act
question,
extremely
like
questionable.
why does God put you here in the first place? Why
Yeah,
not just make you in
why
heaven to
bother?
start with?
like you have
Yeah,
to ask yourself, like these people that are at the top of these, like just any religious sect, these people that are at the top of this, these are the people that study it, these are the people that know the most about it.
mm,
How many of them do you think really believe this shit?
yeah, exactly.
Because it's
Which is
That's
the
little
the
old
point.
big
me.
question I've
Like,
been asking. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is what I've been asking.
it's
I
it's a
know a lot
career
of people really
choice.
do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's their career, and they
Mhm.
have to go along with whatever it is they need to say
Yep.
to further that career. Because obviously, it's they make some good money out of it. They're not
Oh
broke
yeah.
people, and the Catholic Church is very, very rich.
And you don't
We
even, it's
can,
not even just money, it's that status.
yeah,
People look at you like,
Mm.
like, uh,
yeah, yeah. It's a
and
massive ego thing, which is the opposite of what religion should all be about.
what
Greg
it's
Like if you,
Locke
if
supposed to be.
Greg Locke is the epitome of
mm,
that.
Jeez.
Have you heard
yeah.
of Greg Locke, Art?
Yeah.
Yes, I have. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yep. Yes, he's another religious lunatic. I think I saw something about him. Just it might have even been this morning or last night. Just a YouTube video where he's exercising his
Yeah,
own
that was Telltale.
congregation. Was that
Mhm.
was Telltale? It was. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I haven't watched it, but I've seen
The thumbnail.
the video, the thumbnail
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, that'd be interesting to watch. But I'm not surprised at all. You listen to that guy talk. He's a
Yeah.
lunatic.
Yeah.
He's either an actor or genuinely believes it and is a lunatic, or some combination of the two. I don't know. And it astounds me how people fall for this fucking shit. It really astounds me, you know. But they do. Anyway.
I think he's very good at feeling out what people want to hear
Mhm.
Yeah.
and giving them what they want to hear, because he started calling out some of his own church members as being witches, and that just absolutely caught
remember
on
that,
fire.
yeah.
It made him so
Yeah.
famous. And so, yeah, I think this whole demon thing is just him capitalizing on the fear mongering that he's realized that his people are so into.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
have to wonder, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, when it comes to right wingers and like these super mega churches, because they all employ the same tactics. It's just
Mhm.
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah.
So who learned it from who?
Well, yeah, exactly. And religion is based on fear, isn't it? And we go back to that indoctrination thing of instilling fear in kids to start with. What hope do they have? If they don't get their shit together and do the right thing, they're going to for eternal, fire and brimstone and agony forever. Even me as a non-religious person brought up in that way, I still had a fear of hell, because the idea of it as a young kid was frightening,
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
there. It didn't affect me as bad as it might have affected religious kids, and I was able to get out of it a lot quicker. But the thought of it's still there. It's a nightmare concept, So,
And then there's
but
so
anyway.
many concepts of it that you can, like I said, always rationalize your way into it, because of course you grow out of the big red guy with the tail and the horns. Like, oh, come on. Like, then
Yeah.
you look at all these stories and it's like, okay, maybe it's just a dude in a suit.
Yeah.
I don't even know he's Satan. He just offers me something good, and oh my God, my
That's right.
soul's
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
Like,
You
there's
sell
so many
your
ways.
soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you also get that smooth guy in a suit who's dark and like
I have literally
mysterious.
heard people say, like, people in the music industry, like people like DMX, stuff like that, guys that had this super high career and then like just kind of steep decline. Like, oh, because he sold his soul. Yeah. Like, where did
Yeah,
you
right.
get that from, dude? Def Jam is the devil? Like, what are you talking? Where did you
Yeah.
get that? But yeah,
Yeah.
people can rationalize their way into anything.
When
Yeah.
you started out
Mm.
saying as you grow older, you give up the big red guy in the suit. At first, I thought you were talking about Santa Claus.
Yeah. Oh no, you never give him up.
I mean,
No.
they're interchangeable. They're interchangeable. It's all the
They
same.
are. They
Yeah,
are.
they are. Yeah.
They both watch over you to see if you're being good or bad.
Yeah. It's all
I had a stand-up like a 5-minute set just about that, where I just like give all the characteristics, like he's an old white guy, big beard, watches you when you're sleeping, and then I let the audience choose, who am I talking about?
Mm.
And if you can't figure it out, maybe you should question the one guy that you believe in and the other guy that you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, they're also authoritarian and controlling, isn't it? Because it is that do the right thing,
I'm going to
If-
be
if-
honest. Me and my wife refused to do Santa Claus with my son because it sets you up for that kind of cognitive dissonance. Like, we
Yeah.
let him run his own experience, like
Good.
his own experiments, I should say. Like, okay, we're going to stay up to this late. Nothing comes, then nothing comes.
Mm.
And then when he wakes up and he sees the presents, like we did the same thing with the Tooth Fairy. Like, he knows his mom is the Tooth Fairy, but he'll still play
Right.
along. Like, oh, the Tooth Fairy's
Okay.
coming. Like, he'll play along, but he gets it. Because I don't want him to ever like say, well, Dad lied to me about this. What else is Dad lying about? Like, no, I want you to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, that's a good attitude. That's a good approach.
I did the same thing as a believer, although for a
Mhm.
slightly different reason. I brought my kids up and told them, Santa Claus isn't real, but it's okay to pretend. The Easter Bunny isn't real, but it's okay to pretend.
Yep.
And my thought was, I don't want them to grow up and realize Mom lied about the Easter Bunny. Mom lied about Santa Claus. Is she lying about Jesus too? And so I always wanted them to think, okay, Jesus really is real, because Mom never said Jesus isn't real.
Yeah, yeah. And what's the thing? I mean, like, as far as religion goes, kids do lose that belief in Santa and the Tooth Fairy. They realize that's not real. But the equal fantasy of God and Jesus continues on in their life. I think that's a Dawkins comment from some stage, is that's
Mm.
the fantasy belief that kids never grow out of, and they still have it as an adult, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
it's very powerful.
Because I mean, Santa is fun.
Yeah,
Jesus is fun to an extent. Like after
yeah,
VeggieTales, it's not fun anymore. Now it's just scary as shit. Like
yeah,
you, it grows with you. Santa doesn't grow with you. He's always Santa North Pole. That doesn't make sense. But Jesus, like I said, you continue to rationalize it, so it grows with you. Santa doesn't change. Jesus
yeah.
becomes whatever you need him to be to believe in.
Right,
That's why
yeah,
it sticks with you,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
sick. Oh, it's so
I've
sick.
had this
yeah.
comment up for a while because I wanted to talk about it a little bit. It's only a matter of time until these different denominations start going after each other. And actually, they've been going after each other for centuries. I
Yeah.
mean, look at the
That's
UK
why
and the
we have
battle.
4,000 different, religions,
Yeah.
something like
Mhm,
that, 4,000, so
mhm. And
I
I
mean,
think
like, even look inside. You don't even have to look at the different denominations. I think it was Matt Dillahunty that said this. Like, if you go into the church, however many people are in that church is how many different kind of Christianities you're going to find, because
Mm.
Mhm,
everybody has their own idea of what it is.
Yeah, right, yeah,
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
yeah. Even within one little church and the
Yeah,
people within it,
the
they're all
people
gonna have the
within the
different
front row have all
interpretation of it.
different. Yeah, because God always agrees with you. People don't seem
Yeah,
to get that. Whatever your inner monologue is, God is like, yeah, that's the move.
yeah. Yeah, right, yeah, yeah. And you'll convince yourself that that is right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, God told me. No, I feel like you thought that. No, I don't think anybody said that to you, man.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Fixing
not objective truth, it's just, yeah, whatever you want it to be.
fixing the typos here. I knew someone who didn't want to give his child Christmas presents because he said if you rearrange Santa, you get Satan. So
Yeah,
I
right.
said, God spelled backwards is dog. What's your point?
Yeah.
I would much rather have dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go a little puppy dog any
At
day of the
least I know
week.
they love me.
Yeah.
There's a person in the community that's sometimes in the side chat that goes by dog, and his avatar is a picture of a dog with the Pope hat on.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's D-O capital G.
I love it.
I like it. Swapping it around.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah. No, it's quite crazy. But look, for me, as I say, as a young guy, the religious thing didn't really get me. But as a guy in my 20s, I explored more of maybe the new age spiritual type of
Yeah.
thing. I kind of went that direction.
Yeah.
Only by my own choice. I just had to explore it. Um, and I was reading books by guys like Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, which really affected me. And for a while, I was kind of really, really pulled into that whole thing, which is all just very spiritual ideas and mostly based on Eastern religions and ideas. So I did follow that for a while. But once again, I've always had that degree of skepticism because I didn't want to commit to anything completely without knowing 100% that I was being told the truth, you know?
Mhm.
And with that, I think there's definitely more that you can attach yourself to in those type of religions or new age ideas, because there are things like meditation and stuff like
Mhm.
that, which I think can be beneficial, you
Yeah.
know?
They have their place. Yeah.
They have their place, but not because they're connected with some spiritual thing or being or whatever. It happens to be
Yeah.
some universal energy, which is a new age idea. But just because meditation, I think, is beneficial and can be a very good thing. I've had a couple of my own personal experiences with it, which have been quite pleasant without being outstanding.
It's literally just a grounding exercise that brings you to the present. Like
It does, yeah. It's the power
yeah.
of now, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it
I
does most
like,
definitely
and you
work.
know, like my whole profession, I work in behavioral health. I'm not gonna tell y'all what I
Hmm.
do, mind your damn business. I was-
Mm,
but like that's something that we preach daily. Like the future is where your anxiety lies. The past is where your depression lies because oh my
yeah,
God. And then the
yeah,
depression leads to anxiety because what if this happens again? The only place that you are safe and sound is here and right now. So
absolutely, yeah.
bring your thoughts to right now and you're good.
if you can learn to do that. And the book that I read by Eckhart Tolle was called The Power of Now. That was the one that really got me. And because those kind of concepts were there, and I thought, yeah, it makes perfect sense, because so much of what gets me down is regretting things that have happened in the past and worrying about shit that happens in the future, neither of which I have any real control over, you know?
Yeah.
So being in the moment is the thing. So I went down that path, but then even guys like that, they're gurus, and they do still talk about around in circles. You never get any definite answers. There's still bullshit there.
Yeah.
And they still talk about energy that comes from here and can affect you in a certain way. And I'm just thinking, I'm not sure about this. So that didn't work for me either. But
I'm not gonna lie, I read The Secret for the first time and my mind was blown. Like, oh my God,
yeah,
this is everything I've ever needed. Oh my God. But the more you explore it, it's like, oh, okay, these are just basic concepts. You just have to imply, just use this part and let the rest of that shit go. Just
yeah. And I think that is the thing that you need to do, is to pull out what works for you, you know.
yeah.
Not in the way of cherry picking like what you do with religion, but just in the way that, yeah, look, that makes sense. I can relate to that. I understand that. That works for me. Yeah, I think you can do that with New Age. I'm more inclined to go in that direction, and it kind of covers all different, you know, religions like Buddhism and that, which is even traditionally a religion. It's a lifestyle as far as I know. So I think you can pull from all of those things. But
I mean, like, even like that book, The Secret, the whole, like, if you just want to take out the good parts, it's literally just be positive, believe in yourself, don't doubt, otherwise you're more likely to fail when you doubt yourself. Just keep going.
And that
yeah, just positive
exactly
attitude.
That is my biggest problem with religion, is at least the religious groups that I belonged to, taught you are worthless. You can do nothing.
Yep.
Apart from God, you can do nothing. And it teaches you to doubt yourself, not believe in yourself, not hope for what you can do, not aspire to do anything better, but rather that the best thing you can do is humble yourself and ask God to do it for you, which of course we know is going to happen.
Yeah. Yep. And so through prayer and faith and all of these sorts of things, which they don't really work.
Nope. Nope. We are running out of time, and so I want to let each of you have a chance to give any closing thoughts that you might have, and tell us what's coming up that you've got going on. And Art, let's go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, look, my situation now is that I've had my channel going for about 5 years. I started with another channel under the same name, then dumped it because I wasn't happy with the direction, changed the name, started a brand new channel, Art Against Ignorance. My issue's been that I've drifted and gone in different directions and not found a definite path, okay? A big part of that being that I wasn't willing to make myself the face of the label, because, to be honest, a bit self-conscious about age and that type of thing. You know, like I'm a 56-year-old guy, but the passion's there, the love is there, and it's something that I've been doing my whole life. I've had two things throughout my life, apart from all the things that are obviously important, like family and friends and people, community. That goes without saying, right? They're the most important. But for my own selfish self, there's been two things. One's been music, which has been there since I was a kid. And the other has been just that search for truth, which brought me to this community. And my goal is to meld the two things together, you know, that search for truth and saying something worthwhile through the music. So that's what I do. And that's what my channel's all about. I have been scared to come out. I wouldn't say scared, but maybe a bit self-conscious, and have hidden behind video clips. So my new direction with the channel is that I will be the face of what I'm doing, which is why I want to come out and do interviews and things like that now. So I've just got bunch of things coming up, and I'm so keen to keep collaborating with guys like Jerome here, because we've done a couple of very cool things and I want to do more. And the community, the artistic atheist skeptic community is building, is developing. There's a lot of cool people out there. So I want to do more things like that. My channel will go from doing stuff that is low quality, just me throwing out things where I might be playing a song on acoustic guitar, to putting together good, decent video clips and high quality video clips, because we have our own music studio. The thing where it becomes difficult is music videos. It's tough to put high quality music videos together because that runs into big bucks. But because I have a studio and that's been my life, the music I can do really extremely high quality, can get it very, very high. So that's my goal, is to put out high quality music that gets good ideas across, like what we've been talking about here, very topical things, and to present them in such a way that is appealing to the public, that they can enjoy, and hopefully because of that be more far reaching and let those ideas come through as well with the music that is likable, that has a message. So yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot more of my old bowly fat head on my channel and elsewhere, and hopefully doing more interviews with people like yourself and on other channels. So that's my goal. Yeah, I'll be out there and about this year and continuing on.
Okay, very good.
Nice.
And Jerome, tell us what you've got coming up and any closing thoughts that you might have.
Only thing I really have coming up is just keeping the channel going. Like, if you look at the channel now, it's like it's really inconsistent, because I'm kind of torn between, like, do I lean more into like the atheist stuff? I want to talk about like current news more. I want to just do more music. I want to just be funny and nothing else. So all these things are kind of just rattling around. But yeah, within the next few months, the channel is going to pick up tremendously. Just put out actually, like, it's a real album, like a studio album called Thank Me, with God scratched out, because I'm not thanking God anymore. Thank Me. It's on all streaming Jesus, what is up with words? All streaming platforms.
We all do it, Jerome. Don't worry about it.
So that's up right now, and I'm actually in the midst of working on a new project, just like a short EP, just to get a little bit more personal with the music. So yeah, got a couple things coming up, and possibly a big move and a lot of content coming out of that. But yeah, closing thoughts: stay skeptic, keep smiling, life's too short.
Okay, very good.
I like it.
Links to both Art and Jerome's channels are in the description. And if you are not already subscribed, please subscribe to both of them. Much appreciated if you did.
Can I just add to that? Yes, please give me some subscriptions. I got 56 people. I know there's nothing greatly. Well, there's a couple of good things. It's going to get better. It's going to be worth checking out. Jump on and subscribe. Give me a go. You might like it. I know both you guys, your subscriptions, your channels are picking up. I think you're up around 500 now, Jerome.
Yep, a little over 5 finally.
Yeah, you got to the 5. So, I'm still like right down there, and, fair enough, whatever. But yeah, I think it's be worth watching. I hope so. But maybe with doing more of this type of thing, that'll help. But yeah, if you can give me
and I know the stuff that you're working on. Like, I've heard the stuff that you're working on. They're coming.
Yeah, because I've sent you some demos and bits and pieces. Yeah, there's a lot more of that coming up. Yeah, so yeah.
And what I just released yesterday a video answering a response to Mama Bear Apologetics on their evidence for the resurrection. That one's not doing as well as most of my videos have been doing. So if you haven't seen that one yet, please give it a view. And next week, my guest will be Eric from Skeptics and Scoundrels. And that one should be a lot of fun as well. All right, with that, Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to all of you who are viewing this later. And especially thank you to Art and thank you to Jerome for being my guest. It has been a pleasure talking to you today.
Yeah, it's been lovely. Thanks again, Granny. As I said last week, what you're doing is great, and it's letting us guys get out there and talk about what we do, you know. So it's awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
And again, finally get to meet. It was very nice.
Yes. One day maybe we'll get to meet in person at a conference or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's goals.
Probably not going to happen for me on the other side of the planet, but who knows? Maybe one day.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. Live your life.